Hello, 3D modeling class. It's week 8. I'm reaching to adjust my levels here because I think I was a little quiet. It's week 8. Today, we are going to look at assignment 2. So I don't really know how long this will take. It'll probably be shorter than your typical lecture. Your assignment 2 is about composition and rendering. So this one is a little bit less technical and a little bit more kind of stylistic. As with, and the same goes for your assignment too. So we're just talking about kind of considerations when you're composing your renders uh, and things of that nature. Real quick, let's just look at the schedule. Here we are. It's week 8, the week of October 10th. We will have zoomed and looked at a few things. You will begin assignment 2. Composition and rendering is this assignment, or composition and rendering is this lecture. The assignment 2 is going to be due on Halloween. Spooky. I'm in kind of a goofy mood today. Then, after assignment 2, you do have an assignment 3. I think when I last spoke to you about these, I had these mixed up. I was thinking the putting something in the real world was next, but really that's next one. Assignment 2 is only 10 points, so this one's a little bit easier one for you. But I just want to spend a little bit more time talking about rendering because it is very important to the quality of your work. Let's take a look at the assignment. So assignment 2 is called Wooden Ship Renders. Use this ship model, which I've linked to, from Polyhaven and create 3 different renders. Each render should have a unique feel with different lighting and composition. Try different focal lengths and camera positions, try close-up or macros, whatever. It is only worth 10 points. So this one's a little lighter, so you don't need to spend a terrible amount of time on it. 8 points for having 3 distinct renders. Make sure you upload just the actual renders to D2L. 2 points for non-time submission, which would mean before October 31st. Let's look at the model. I always have kind of an interest in old wooden ships. I don't know what it is. And I've always wanted to model one, and then I saw this one for free on Polyhaven, and I was like, oh man, now I never need to model this because it's free right here. So please download the Blender file here. So on the top right, you can adjust, you can change, but make sure you're downloading the Blender. You have different options: 1K, 2K, or 4K. Use whichever one you want. So obviously the 1K one has the lower textures, a lower resolution, and as a smaller file size to download. Or if you're comfortable downloading a big ol' 860 megabyte file, do that if you so choose. Okay, so what I want you to do is take this model and create 3 interesting, different, varying renders with different camera positions and different lighting and stuff like that. Today, I'll walk you through my process of how I would create one of these, and then it'll be your job to either do something similar and then do 2 more or do 3 of your own. I have already downloaded this, so let's get to it. So here we have, I downloaded the 4K version. And let's just do render preview just for funsies. And actually, I need to switch my render device to CPU compute so my recording goes a little bit smoother. And here we are. So I've got render preview going. And, whoops, not this one, this one. You can see we don't have any lights or anything else in the scene. It's just the ship. So first, what I'm going to do is just kind of finish building out my scene, and I want you to do this as well. And it doesn't, for assignment 2, it doesn't have to be very complicated. In fact, that's an additional skill to learn and practice is how you can have compelling and interesting art with like minimal stuff. So the visual the visual that the interesting visual that comes into my head initially with a ship like this, and you've maybe even seen me wearing a shirt that has that same visual, but like I want it to be like cresting a wave or something like that, and I want it to be nighttime, and I want it to have like a big sort of silhouette with a moon behind it. So let's go for it. So step one, I'm actually just going to go to material preview because I'm not going to do the lighting yet. And it will take a moment for these textures to load. I realize I probably should have just stuck with, oh, and now it's just freezing. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is just a material preview and not render preview. So it just took a moment for these to render. If you're curious, obviously, like look at the model a little bit closer. And actually, this is a great thing to do right now. Notice that the model, like the mesh itself, is not incredibly complex. You know, like here, let's look at our statistics. Total, so looking up here top left, total faces is 8,000. Well, actually, so that's just the hull. So altogether, okay, so total faces altogether is 101,000, which is kind of a lot actually. I wonder what most of them are on. You can see up here top right, we've got lots of different things. So I guess it does have a fair amount of detail, but that's because there's lots of different parts. But really, like specifically looking at the hull here. Actually, I should do this. I should go edit mode like this. 6,000 for the sails. 34,000 for the rigging. So actually, these ropes and stuff have quite a few faces. The interior has 3,000. That's pretty good. The hull has 8,000. The details, so like the deck or the ladders and the other things sitting here, that's 21,000. The deck itself is 4,000, and the aft here, this is the aft. Ooh, look at the aft here. That has 22,000. That has some cool details too. So I even look like the lettering here, Leusden, it's not modeled. It's just part of the texture. So next week when we talk, our lecture is going to be about UV maps and kind of creating your own stuff for stuff. So we'll kind of talk about how you could do stuff like this, without actually having to model it. But anyway, so that was just me observing how this was put together. So a lot of heavy lifting on the like detail of this is done with the materials and textures. So you can see that we've got some great like kind of wood paneling or boards on the side here, but it's all just one solid chunk. Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. There are some edge creases in here. But again, a lot of it's done by just the material that's on there. It's good looking material. Okay. Now, getting to how I want to do this. First, I want like a little wave to kind of crest over this. So what I should really do first is I should get a camera going here. And so I'm going to Shift A and turn on this. Key and stroke. Oh gosh. There it is. Okay. First, I just want my camera in here. So Shift A, let's add a camera. And just kind of get a general spot for it, just to start. There we go. Shift A. And I do think I want this to be kind of a wider angle. So here in my object data properties, with the camera selected, you can change the focal length, which changes how wide or zoomed in this is. Okay, and I should say, I am assuming a little bit of knowledge about how a camera works. And maybe I shouldn't do that, so maybe I should just very quickly, when I get to each of these steps, I'll just explain what's happening. Okay. So And this is very easy to just see it in action. But focal length is the zoom, basically. So a 32 millimeter lens is a very wide angle, like, and if we can go all the way down, it like gets wider and wider and wider. So you're seeing more and more and more and more. The field of view is getting bigger. As you crank this number up, as the focal length increases, it's more zoomed in. So you'll be seeing these differences happening as we go. So 35 is like an actual normal lens that people use sometimes. And just like as a reference, your eyeball, the focal length of your eyeball is like somewhere between 35 and 50. I think people usually say it's closer to 50. It's in the 40s somewhere. Anyway, what was I doing? Okay. Next thing, I want like some waves for this to be on. And this one's actually super easy to just model. If I go Shift A and I add a plane, a mesh, a plane, oops, and I realized that my 3D cursor is up here in the sails, which is interesting. So I'm going to hit Shift C to reset that. And then I'll just delete that plane. And then I'll do Shift A plane again here like this. Without doing anything to it yet, I'm just going to go over to my modifiers tab. And there's a really cool one that fits perfectly with what we're doing, and it's called Ocean. And there, we've got like a little ocean wave happening. Now, this one's fun because you can just fiddle with the settings. You can have whatever kind of ocean you want. Here in the waves, under the waves, we can change the scale of the wave, so we can have like a really rocky sea like this. And actually, what does this do? So like, yeah, we actually have some kind of big points that fall in on themselves a little bit. But I think I do kind of want this. I think, let's see, if I repeat this, yeah, I don't think I want it to repeat too much. I think I do want like 1, 1. But I think I'll scale up like this. I'll just scale up the whole thing. Nope, let me undo that. I'll just S scale like this. And we'll get creative with our camera positioning a little bit. The other thing you can do here in our modifier is you can just change and so what I kind of want is like a big wave right in the middle. A couple ways you can do that. First is just to change the random seed until you find one that's good. So if you click through here, it just changes the randomness of it. Right now there's a big valley in there. I want like kind of a big wave in the middle. Ooh, here we go. This one's pretty good. It's maybe like a little bit too pointy. But anyway, so we can change this a little bit as well, or we can tweak it just a little bit. You can change the smallest wave, so you can have like lots of little details in the wave. The other thing we can do, what if we do a subdivision surface ahead of it here? I think that'll give us more detail too. Okay. We can change the wind velocity, and this actually doesn't do any. Oh, so like at the lower values, it actually kind of crunches it a little bit. We won't adjust that choppiness. Choppiness also kind of spreads it out a little bit. Smallest wave. So this is like how much detail you have. Okay. All right. So I'm feeling like I want it to be like the waves to be like a little wider. So maybe I'm actually gonna go to my what would you call this? Object properties, and just change the scale a little bit so that it's like a little bit longer. I'm trying to like think of, because like I think I'll probably end up using this peak right here as the one that my ship is on. Okay. So then maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of extend this. Well, let's try to get the positioning right. So my camera's over here right now. Let me get a little bit closer here, and I'm going to do Control-Alt-0 to kind of get this situated here and start to get that right. Okay, so now what we can do is, well, we need to move our ship, and because these are all different chunks here, we need to just parent them together. So why don't I just do Shift A? I'm going to add an empty, whatever, plane axes like this. I'm going to select everything and then Shift click the empty and do Control P so we can parent and say set parent to object. And did that work? No, it didn't do anything. Do all this. Select all these. Oh, not the plane. I don't want the plane. And then I want to shift click that. Select all these. Control click the empty. There we go. And then Control P. Set parent to object. There we go. That time it worked. So now our empty here, I'll rename this to like ship control. Will control everything. So let's get this kind of riding the wave a little bit. So let me just like G move it down and R rotate a little bit like this. And kind of G move it like this and R rotate here. Like it's really like coming up, crashing through the waves like this. And actually maybe I have it over here and we're gonna like kind of rock it this way a little bit. Oops, don't move the waves. Oops, and I want to make sure that I'm always selecting the ship control here to rotate. It's a little bit too far, so let's go back here. Rotate it back this way. Cool. And this is like wild. Like we don't really need it to be. Well, who knows? Maybe that's just what I'm going for. Okay, I'm feeling pleased with this right here. I want to get my camera up nice and close too. Control Alt 0. Okay, great. I'm feeling good about this. Okay, now let's go to render preview. So we don't have any lights in our scene presently. But let's make some adjustments. So first off, I don't want a gray world, I want a black world. So I'm gonna go to my world settings here, this little gray world, and then just change the color to black like this. Thing 2, I want to have like a little moon on here. So let's go, let's just add a UV sphere in here. I'm gonna move this kind of way, whoops. I'm gonna move it way back, scale it up. Let's give this one, let's give this an emission material so that it's glowing. And well, sorry, I got distracted. Surface emission. Change the strength. The other thing too is like the moon isn't right behind. You know, obviously you can see it's like lighting up this way, but it's not lighting up this way. We want it to be a little bit more uniform. So we gotta move it way back. Move it way back here. Let's get our camera in the right spot. And then let's scale it up like this. Whoa, that's too big. My mouse is jumping around. But I do want it to be like sort of a cartoonish amount of moon. So this is actually starting to look really good. All right, so the other thing I should probably do is I want to actually get like a moon. I feel like the moon has a very distinctive look, moon texture on there. So I have provided a link down below for you to download some moon and stars images, and we can see what we can do with that. So first, what I want to do is let's actually go to my shading layout here, and with my moon thing here, with my moon big sphere. Wow, look at how big it is. Let's import my moon image and just see what we can do here. So we want a texture and we want an image texture. And we want to connect the color to the emission shader here. Let's open it up and go to my fall 2022. There's moon. You will have yours wherever you downloaded it. Going to material preview here. Okay, so we need to do a little bit of UV editing to get this right. Well, and actually, here's the other thing we can do. We could probably just do like a circle and make it work. So why don't we do that? So I'm actually going to delete this sphere. Let's go back. Let's go back to our regular layout view here. Let's just go to object. What do you call this one? Solid mode. Solid mode. Okay. And let's just add a circle in here, because the moon is a circle. Let's we'll R90 like this. scale it up. And we want to, whoops, tab, and we want to tab and right click, and we want to fill. So new F key is also a new face from vertices. So we just have like a regular old circle here. Okay, and now we can do a new emission material. Change from principled to emission. Actually, let's go to our shading workspace here, and we can do the same thing we had again. Shift A, add image texture, go like this, connect the color, open, moon. Okay. Let's see how that did. Did it put it on the other side? Oops, I did wood texture. Don't want that. Open. Go back to this folder. There's moon. Show me moon, and then up the strength. Okay, so let's, it's being a little funky. So we need to do a little UV editing. So if we hit A here, I'm in edit mode on our circle. Let's UV unwrap. So I'm going to hit the U key and say unwrap like this. Okay. And now we just need to, again, we're going to talk about UV editing a little more next week, but this is your quick reminder from last semester. So you can see we unwrapped this flat circle and it just creates a circle, so it's really easy. But our moon isn't lined up perfectly on this image, so I just need to S scale this down so that the moon, like, there's not just extra fill on the outside like that. Okay. And now if I go back to the shading workspace here, the strength is probably way too high. So let's turn the strength down, 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 down. Okay. Until we get the moon. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, great. Like this. Okay. Now let's go back to our layout view. Let's get this dialed in here. Show me render preview. Show me my camera. So we need to move this way down like that. Here like this. Where are you? Where are you? I need you back here. Oh, and it's because it's rotated the other way. 7 for my top-down view. Let's rotate it this way. Let's G move it over here. Hopefully we're starting to see it. Yes, okay. There we go. That's the moon, ladies and gents. Okay. I do also want this to be like perpendicular, or yeah, perpendicular to the camera. So let's just kind of map that out a little bit. Where's my camera? Okay, camera's over here. So let's, I'm just going to rotate this way. So it's kind of looking at the camera. I'll move it back a little bit. Here we go. We also probably need to have it like tilted down a little bit. Like that. Okay. Let's see how this goes. And let's go back to our material properties like this. Let's up the strength of the emission a little bit more, maybe. Okay. So that's starting to look kind of cool. Okay, the other thing I want to do is I want like stars around as well. So let's just go back to our shading workspace. Let's go from object to world, and let's change our world settings here. Where is our like world output here? Let's do use nodes. Here we go. Here we go. All right, let's add a new image texture. So I'm gonna go Shift A, texture, image texture like this. Let's just see what this does if I plug this right in here. I think I put it in here. I downloaded a few of these for you. I don't remember which one is which, so let's just see what we got here. All right, actually I think with the world output, I think we can just do texture, environment texture like this, and stick that into the surface and open one of these, open image. Okay. Yeah, so because these aren't actually HDRIs, they're flat images kind of strewn around, so it actually might not be a great idea to do it like that. What we could do, you could like put it in the scene here like this. And sorry, I'm like a little out of breath. I just went up and down the stairs. Um, you could put it in the scene like this to get the like environmental lighting, but then just also Shift A have like the plane in here, and G, move it back here. S, scale it up. Scale it up really big. Things are the scale of this is just getting out of hand. First, let me do like RX90 like this, and then like R rotate like this, and G, like you could have it behind the moon like this. Scale it up, and then put the stars on it as an image texture. So we've got plane 001. I gotta also just keep in mind like my render window here, because I don't need it to go cover my viewport. I just need it to cover the right spot. And what am I doing? We'll go back to object here, new material like this. Rather than let's just Shift A, add a texture, image texture, and open the same one. Go to open, and this is the first one here. So okay, let's just do like a quick render image like this. I believe my render settings are set to be pretty low. So yeah, so that looks kind of cool. You got the stars in there. You got a little bit of environmental light happening. Final step for this would probably be to obviously just with the water. Right now it looks like it's like sailing through the snow. Maybe that's what you're going for. But let's just add a little bit of reflection to the water. So water. Let's do a new material. Just like play with maybe as preset. Actually, let's just go over here. It's probably easier. Change it to a glass. What does a glass look like if we do that? Oh, it looks kind of weird actually. Let me just go back to principled, not hair. And let's like make it metallic. Like we want it to be like kind of shiny like this. And we can turn like the roughness way down, so we're getting some like reflection of stuff. So obviously here, if you turn the reflection all the way down, you're exposing the flatness of the polygons. So I mean, we have some options. If I do shade smooth, does that do anything? No, it doesn't. If I edit this and subdivide, does that do anything? Right click, subdivide. No, it still doesn't do anything. So we gotta be a little bit more creative. Let's turn the roughness back up a little bit, so we're getting that just a little bit. Actually, you know what we maybe should do. Let's bake in. Let me just go back to material preview like this. Oh, except it's probably gonna choke again. Don't forget to save. That's all right. It'll catch up. Okay, here we go. Here's the material preview. It obviously looks kind of ridiculous with this fake HDR in here. Anyway, let's bake on. I'm gonna apply our modifiers. So I'm gonna apply the subdivision. Oops, oh, it's because I'm in edit mode. Let's apply the subdivision. Let's apply the ocean to this. So now it's actually just like we're seeing it here. And let's also subdivide. Let's tab, A for all, right click, subdivide like this. Cool. And maybe even do it one more time. Object mode, tab, right click, subdivide. Okay, so now it's like getting a little crazy. So there's a couple things you could do. Like honestly, we could sculpt here, and that's maybe not a bad idea. If I go to sculpt mode like this, let's go to object here. Yeah, and this actually might be kind of fun. This might be a fun way to like just get a little bit more intrigue in here. The other thing I was thinking is we could add like a little bit of noise displacement. I'll show you how to do that real quick. Okay, so let's begin by first adding in, we need a noise texture. So under textures, we want noise. So noise is like a good way of just creating like randomness. Now here's your node wrangler tip for the day. So let's go to material preview like this. And to see what this noise is, there's a node wrangler shortcut. It's Control Shift and left click. It's going to connect this whatever you click on to the surface here. So it's gonna like put whatever you want to see. It's gonna connect to the surface. So like if we want to go back to our regular thing before, Control Shift click here, and you can see that the line jumped from there. So this is just a good way to like do a quick little preview. Okay, so what noise is it's like a series of, or it's just like random variables from black to white. And that's because right now we're looking at the factor. If you control click again, it actually switches to the color. So noise does also have a color, and it's just sort of like random colors on the rainbow. But we're going to be looking at the factor, because we want it to change ultimately we want it to change the displacement of this. So it also is like kind of a little, and if I change the scale a little bit, you can sort of see, but it's you can tell it's grouped around the waves in a way, and we want it to be kind of like laying flat along the waves. So you can input a vector socket into noise, and it'll kind of change how it's laid out in the scene. You maybe just kind of need to trust me on this, but so there's one more piece of data we need to add into here, and it's in the input menu, and we want texture coordinate. So actually, let's read what this says before I click on it. Texture coordinate retrieves multiple types of texture coordinates typically used as inputs for texture nodes. So I guess you can see that, okay, here there's a lot of different pieces of data you can get out of here. You can get the UV, you can get the normal, all these things. And we want the texture coordinates of the object. So you can hopefully see that when I plug the factor in here to the vector, you can see that our noise is much more evenly laid out along the waves, that nothing's too stretched out or stuff like that. So you can change the scale of this, you can change the detail of this, and actually that looks just fine right now. So the last couple steps here, because I just want to add like a little bit more choppiness to the waves, because we have the big waves, but there's also like smaller waves on top of waves. So I'm going to Control Shift click this here. I want to connect the factor to the no, actually, so we do also need a displacement node. So let me Shift A, search for displacement like this, and we want, and I know it's small here, so let me zoom in a little bit. So we want to connect the factor of this. So remember, the factor is like the values from white to black here, which is a range of values between 0 and 1. And so we'll connect the gray factor here to the height of our displacement. And then we, of course, just need to connect the displacement, to the displacement here. Oh, gosh. Connect this displacement to our material output displacement. And then we also need to Control-Shift-Click on there. So now you can see that we're getting some waves, some like a little bit more detail on our waves, which is nice. This is what we're kind of looking for. The other thing I said that you could do is do some sculpting, and maybe it's warranted here to like kind of get it around the wave a little bit. The other thing, just to make sure, on this material, I think settings. Oh yeah, so here, I'm on the materials tab for the wave, the shiny thing. Under settings, displacement, and under surface, displacement, there's bump only, displacement only, and displacement and bump. So if we click this, it is actually going to change like the what do you call it? The topology of it. Like it's actually going to make it bumpier, rather than just like kind of doing the camera trick. So anyway, let's go back to our layout view, and let's just see how this looks here. Yeah, okay. This is looking really good because now we're catching a lot more of the reflection of the moon on here, so it's looking really good. Final step. So I just want to talk about rendering a little bit more, and then I'll maybe show you kind of one like other half idea that I had for this. So let's see. So rendering. Let's go to render properties. So you should please use cycles for this. I want you to use cycles. If you have a GPU, it's going to be faster if you do GPU compute. Don't forget, you can select, if you have a GPU, you can go up into your edit menu, preferences, and go to, where is it? System, yeah. And choose your cycles render device in here. That'll save you some time. By default, in this scene, downloaded from Polyhaven, the sampling is very low. 10 samples is like almost nothing. So if I do a render right now, render image, it for me is just going to take, it's choking, slowing. Here we go. Sorry, it is taking a moment. Okay, for some reason it kind of hung up on me. So this is 10 samples with no denoising. So actually it is exactly the same as what is seen in the viewport. So if and also the scaling is at 50% for this, so this is like half as big as a 1920 by 1080, which the scene settings are set to. So if I close this, let me turn on, so remember you've got different settings for viewport and different settings for render. So you can probably leave the viewport ones as is. And let's hit denoise. So this is going to remove, so noise again is like all these little specks along the way, which are, you know, artifacts of the computer trying to calculate the light. And it just takes another round of processing to remove noise. So I'm going to up the samples to like 256. And I'm also going to change, so right now if I switch over to my output properties, you can see the resolution is 1920 by 1080, but the percentage is at 50%, so it's going to be half that size. So I'm just going to up that to 100. So just by changing the samples, turning on denoise, and making sure that I'm at the proper size, let's see the difference in the render here. So I'm going to go render and render image. Okay, so you can see that the quality has gotten a little bit better. We can see a lot more of the details. You know, the reflections look a little nicer. They're still like a little chunky, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. The one thing I'm noticing now, though, that I want to change, the last thing I'm going to change on this before I do one other little thing is I realized that my stars in the background are so-so. So I actually want to make this emission as well, so maybe we can just see the stars glow a little bit. Okay. My mic. Sorry, got distracted. And then I realized my mic was in front of me. Okay, we're just changing this to emission real quick. So I'm going to close this, selecting my kind of star background here. Maybe I'll even make it a little smaller, just so the stars look a little smaller. And it still fits behind our render here. And then go to my shading view with the nodes. And rather than just making this a principled... Ooh. Oh man, it's going to chug again, sorry. Anytime I do this look dev, it really chokes. And okay, and select our background, and rather than a principled, I want to make this a emission. Just change that to emission. Oops, and we lost our thing. So actually, let's just add it in here. Shader emission like this, and I'm just going to drop it right here and delete this and Control Shift click on that right there. So we're just emitting a little bit of light, just a little bit, maybe turn it up just a little bit. maybe. And let's go back to our layout. Just so we're getting a little bit of glow out of those stars. Yeah, okay. Final render, here we go, render image. Okay, cool. I'm pleased with this. I think if I were to continue to work on this, I would maybe have a depth of field on my camera and make it a little shallower because even like the stars in the background look like a little bit like the detail is too low. But you know, otherwise I'm pleased with this. I'll probably save this. Okay, I just want to like show one other little example of something you could do with this, and then we'll wrap it up. So let me close this. Another thing whoa, another thing that we can do to add some detail, or like, so I want your three things to be like very different. And like it's up to your interpretation what very different means, but like that one was like a wide shot of the whole ship. So now just for fun, like I'm gonna do like a close up of just like a little part of the ship. So I'm gonna add a different camera in here, and to change which camera is your active camera, you actually just have to click on the little icon up here in your scene collection next to me. So you can see camera here. Like you can even rename this like wide camera or like moon camera, and this one I'll be like close up or ECU camera. Extreme ECU stands for extreme close up, and you just gotta click the little camera here. So it's kind of hard to tell the difference, but like this one has that little gray shading around it. This one does not. This one is our active camera. So I'm gonna go Control-Alt-0 here like this. And I want to change the focal length to be like 142, maybe even like a 200, like this. And I want to like have it looking down the ship, like this, but actually a little bit further over. So actually, if I do a camera view like this and I have my camera selected, I can even just move the camera maybe like this a little over. And can I rotate it like this? Can I rotate my Z? Yeah, just like that. Yeah, cool. And actually, maybe I'll move the Z position up a little bit too. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna set this scene up. And just like you know what you could do, and for this assignment you can add other models in here if you really want to. Like maybe you could make like a lamp or something. I'm just gonna I'm not gonna actually do the whole lamp, but I am gonna add like another little light in here. Where is it? Where did it go? My sphere. Oh, it's back here. Okay, let me move it up here like this. Okay, make it a lot smaller. You know, so like imagine this being like a little light bulb or a lamp. Obviously they didn't have light bulbs, but like you can fake it to look like a candle or something. And I'm just gonna add make this an emission. You know, I like the emission thing. Make this pretty bright. Change the color to be like kind of like an orange glow like this. And I want it to be like visible here like this. Or maybe it's not visible, you know? I'm playing with this a little bit. Or, you know what? Let's not do that. Let me add a real light. Let me add a Shift A light like this. And it's just going to be sort of like, oh, not a sun. Shift A, I want to add a point light like this. And I want to move this over here. It's probably kind of hard to see since my like rendering isn't really keeping up with this. But let's move it. I just want to like move it over here like this, yeah. So that like we can maybe see the effects of it, but we can't actually see the light. Yeah, so that I want to have like kind of an orange glowing light like this. The other thing I want to do is I want to have I'm gonna add. Go to my shading works layout here. Oh, and it's gonna freeze. Hold on. Okay, here we go. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I want to add a little bit of world volume scatter. So let's go Shift A in our node editor here, volume scatter like this. Connect the volume here, and turn the density way down, 0.01. Let's go to render preview like this. Show us what you got. Aha, yeah, so it's like kind of a foggy, scary thing going on. Very cool. And I like this light. I want it to be a little brighter maybe. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like the density. Okay, and then just for fun, like, and you could add another one in the back maybe, but then I also want to have a depth of field. So with my camera selected here, let's go camera, depth of field, great. Focus object, I'm just going to set it to be the point light just because I know that's kind of an area that I want it to be focused on. I'm going to turn the f-stop way down. Okay, here's another camera principle. F-stop. So if you're doing depth of field, aperture is measured in f-stop. This means in a real camera, the f-stop is how wide the lens opens up, how wide the aperture opens up. And the wider it is, the more light it's going to let in, and the which the light doesn't matter in 3D, but it does impact the depth of field. So if you have the f-stop is a low value, 1.4 is a low value versus 19, a low number for your f-stop is going to have a really shallow depth of field. So just a little tiny bit is going to be in focus. So you can see like right now, it's just like barely in focus, like kind of around the stairs here. This is blurry, back there is blurry. Maybe crank it up just a little bit, 5. We'll see how that goes. The other thing too is like this is more noticeable with a longer lens, which means which would mean longer focal length, 200 millimeters here. So play with this a little bit. Yeah, we'll crank this down to 3.3. Let's just see what this one looks like. Render image. The nice thing about the new cycles is render is that it kind of progressively shows you the render as it happens, where it used to do like blocks at a time, but now it kind of does the whole image together. So it's on sample 13 of 256, so I'll pause real quick while this wraps up. All right, so this is taking kind of a while. It's still only on 136, but I'm impatient and I'm ready to wrap this up. So your renders do not have to be this detailed. You don't need to wait a long time for your renders if you don't want to. But I encourage you to experiment with it. Experiment with like what your computer's capable of, what looks good. Obviously, when you add the volume scatter and do this kind of volumetric lighting, it'll slow down your computer a little bit. But I encourage you to play with it. So do what you want. Get creative with it. You can do some things that are similar to mine, or do something totally different. Like for some reason, I like the nighttime imagery. But if you want to do like some daytime, or do something totally wacky, like it's a ship that's being eaten by your character or something like that. But anyway, so this is just 3 different rendered image. Play with the lighting. Play with your camera settings. So think about your composition. I guess I didn't really talk about the composition that much, but just like in general, I'm looking for a thoughtful composition. And I was about to say like, yeah, make sure that the ship is like featured in your images, but I'm not even going to ask you to do that. Maybe it's like in the background and it's kind of more abstract or more obscure. So this is a chance. This is kind of a low pressure way to use your creativity a little bit. Use the ship and give me 3 different renders with cycles, and I want it to look good. Anyway, that's it for this week. Keep up the good work, and please email if you have any questions. Adios.